Ukraine's president to demand tougher sanctions on Russia over the mass killing of civilians in an address to the UN Security Council. Denmark and Italy joining Germany and France to expel Russian diplomats in an increasingly unified Europe reaction to civilian killings in Ukraine. More than 120 diplomats have been asked to leave in 2 days. Moscow says it will retaliate. Jens Stoltenberg has been addressing the media ahead of a NATO foreign ministers meeting in Brussels. He is still speaking. Let's listen in to what he's saying.
Sometimes, some weeks, but after that we are afraid that we can see a big Russian offensive in Donbass with aim to take Donbass. In that window, it is extremely important that NATO allies provide support, so we are able to rearm, to resupply the Ukrainian forces. And that's exactly what I expect allies to do, and what I expect allies to discuss at the meeting tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, including what types of equipment and how we can enable them to stand up against and continue to inflict heavy casualties on the invading Russian forces.
Okay, we had the Associated Press.
Well, let's stay in Brussels, where Rosie Bucha joins us live. Rosie, Jens Stoltenberg there, giving us a glimpse of what NATO intends to do. You've been listening in. What's your reading of the comments and what else we can expect?
Well, interestingly, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg first started to speak about the global implications of this war in Ukraine and Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And he specifically mentioned that NATO ministers meeting tomorrow and the next day are expected to pledge to increase their cooperation with NATO's Asia-Pacific partners. Now, that's interesting because NATO's Asia-Pacific partners, ministers from them, that's ministers from New Zealand, from Australia, from the Republic of Korea and from Japan, are expected to be in Brussels and around the table with the ministers from those 30 NATO allies and others when they sit down to discuss the next steps in NATO's response to this conflict in Ukraine. Now, beyond that, in terms of the conflict more on the ground, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg reiterated some stark warnings. He said that Russia is not withdrawing troops, but rather resupplying and regrouping, and that he expects a further Russian push in southern and eastern Ukraine in the coming weeks. That's why he says NATO allies will continue to provide Ukraine with weapons, including anti-tank and air defences.
There is another package of sanctions against Russia in the works. Do we have any more details of what's in that package? And is it pointing to US and Europe running out of ways to punish Moscow?
You are quite right. Officials right in that building behind me in the European Commission are busy drafting a fifth package of sanctions, trying to tighten the screws really on the Kremlin's ability to finance those attacks in Ukraine. Now, until now, the EU has sanctioned hundreds of people in Russia, what they call Russian oligarchs. They've banned Russian aircraft from the EU airspace. However, what Kiev has been calling for is what Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy calls the mother of all sanctions, which would be a full embargo on Russian energy imports. That is divisive here in Brussels and within the European Union because the EU is reliant on Russia when it comes to its energy supplies and energy security, and in an asymmetrical way, meaning that some of those 27 EU nations are more reliant on Russia than others. Now, when the European Commission presents these proposals for sanctions, they will then go to those 27 member states, and it will be up to them to debate among each other what the final details will be. We expect one potential compromise could be banning the imports of Russian coal, but leaving aside imports of Russian oil and gas, which would be the more problematic ones among these member states. And of course, those chorus of some of those EU nations and Ukraine that are calling for tougher sanctions still, the EU nations in that group include Lithuania and Poland. That chorus has only been intensifying with the reports of those atrocities in towns like Bucha in Ukraine.
Thanks for that. Rosie Bucha reporting from Brussels.